Happy Thursday, Facebook friends. Welcome back to Facebook. I'm Angie Garza, Director of Professional Learning and Educational Services at ROE 47, serving Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. And if you're joining us back here this fine Thursday on Facebook, you will know that it is time for another edition of Teacher Talk. We are rolling into November, and I'm not quite sure how that happened. And as we continue to work further and deeper into the school year and we grow our guests here on Teacher Talk, I am always so happy to welcome my friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus, to our Teacher Talk conversation for the morning. Good morning, Ms. Stacy. Happy November.
Good morning, Angie. Happy to be here as always. It amazes me how much I learn on these teacher talks. It was only a couple years ago that I was in the classroom, and a lot of these things that we're talking about now are new since I was in the classroom. We continually are asking, like, what do our students need? What do our communities need? What do our teachers need? What do our families need? And then finding ways to address those needs and those concerns with programming and services. So I'm excited to talk to our guests today and learn a little bit more about something that we're offering to our schools.
Stacy, you just set that up so beautifully. I couldn't have said those words better myself. Things have changed in our world so quickly, especially given the pandemic over the last couple of years. But we know, and just as we start this conversation, I would just like to make sure that I iterate to all of our viewers that conversations about what we're going to be talking about today, social emotional learning, mental health, these are all conversations that were completely relevant and growing and important before the pandemic. Our pandemic shone a light on a lot of the mental health and social emotional challenges that our young people and our communities are experiencing today. And so we, as an educational community and communities in general, need to be prepared to address those needs. And so today we are so happy to talk about new programming, Kelli Parsons. Kelli is from the Area 2 SEL, Social Emotional Learning Hub, that is housed in Rockford. And Kelli is one of our partners in this work, this very important work related to mental health and social emotional learning. Specifically today, we are going to be talking with Kelli a little bit about not only her role, but the new trauma responsive schools implementation assessment tool that we are going to be rolling out to all of our schools and districts in Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. So good morning, Kelli. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this morning. And as we start off our conversation with you, wondering if you could just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to this role, because you are also new to our Northwest region as well.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate you allowing me to join you this morning. Yes, we are, I say we, my husband and I are new to the area. We live in Fulton, moved here from Kewanee this summer, so lots of change recently. I actually changed jobs as well. I was previously a special ed coordinator for 5 years, and before that a special ed teacher and an ag teacher before that. So I have been in the classroom and in education since the late 90s. So over 20 years now. So yes, seen a lot of things come and go, and especially in the last 2 years. So as Angie shared, I'm the regional specialist for Hub 2. I work with 3 ROEs, including Lee, Ogle, Whiteside, also Bureau, Henry Stark, and Rock Island. And I'm also a doctoral student at Illinois State.
So, as you think about all of those different hats that you've worn over your career, you're now in this place where you are helping not only our regional offices, but our schools and districts really kind of navigate this conversation around mental health, social emotional learning, re-engagement of families with the school environment, thinking about safety and bullying and all of these really important conversations. And so, as I mentioned earlier, one of those tools that you're helping our schools and districts with is that TRSIA, the Trauma Responsive Schools Implementation Assessment. So as we kind of unpack this a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about this assessment and what it will tell us ultimately about the prevention and support systems that we have to address these needs in our school communities?
Absolutely. So the TRSIA, I'll just leave it at the initials. It's a school-wide trauma assessment that's going to identify strengths and areas of improvement related to schools' trauma responsiveness. We look at 8 areas specifically, including safety planning, prevention planning, trauma programming, classroom strategies, early intervention trauma programming, staff self-care, targeted programming, and family and community engagement. It was created by 3 large organizations, all with very lengthy names. The National Child Traumatic Stress Network, the Treatment and Services Adaptation Center for Resilience, Hope and Wellness in Schools, and the National Center for School Mental Health. So with each of those organizations' backgrounds and stake in seeing the mental health and wellness of our students thrive, I believe this is an important tool that we can use to help all of our schools find out where they're at and how we can help them grow over time.
Kelli, I have to tell you that seems like it seems super valuable, but it seems huge. So, how do you even start that process with the schools, and who was involved in that? I would assume, if we're getting information directly from our students, we need to be surveying or talking to teachers, getting administrators involved. So what does that process look like?
Agree, it is huge. It's a lot to look for, it's a lot to look at, but it's a starting point. So it's definitely not the entirety of a school's SEL programming, but it is a place to start. So the program, the assessment, itself will be completed by a SEL team. So we ask that each school put together a team of 4 to 6 individuals, and those individuals will be the voice for that stakeholder group. So that's going to include an administrator, a teacher, a mental health professional like your school counselor, social worker, or a school psychologist, a community member, and then a parent or caregiver. And knowing that a lot of our schools are rural, smaller schools, we know that some of those people are going to overlap. So we just ask that, let's say a teacher is also a parent, that when they're completing this assessment as both a teacher and parent, that if they're in that parent role for the specific assessment day, that's the hat that they're wearing when they're answering those questions, so that we're getting valuable insight from each group that we're looking to. And again, this just gives us a starting point for action planning. A lot of things are already happening in schools. A lot of good things are already happening in schools. This is just to show us, of those 8 specific domains, are they hitting all of them? And if not, which ones are they missing? And then we can come in and action plan with them. I say that's going to be the hub and the local ROEs. So we come in an action plan, create a plan for the year, and then after 1 year, hopefully see growth when we have them complete the TRSIA again. That same team or a team of similar individuals if there's been turnover or whatnot. And then from there, look at what plan we need to put in place for growth for the upcoming school year.
So Kelli, how do our schools start this process? Who do they need to get in touch with? How do they get the ball rolling with this program?
So they can do a couple things. They can reach out to me, Parsons at roe4.org. They can reach out to Katie Godin, who is our local coach for Leoga Whiteside, and that is kgodin at roe47.org. Or we have created, the specialists work together and created a website, area 2, the digit 2, SELHub.org, area 2, SELHub.org. And at that website, they'll get a little history on the program itself. And they'll read about in depth about each of the 8 domains. They can see a sample copy of the TRSIA, a sample copy of an action plan, and it would take them through the different phases in order that we'll go through with them. It looks like a lot, but one of the benefits of having been a classroom teacher for many years and working the last couple of years in a coordinator role, I understand that teachers and staff's time is precious, and there's only so much of it. And I understand there are so many other things out there that everyone needs to be concerned about in addition to this. So we work closely with the teams to create a schedule that's convenient for them. So as far as meetings and such, and we can meet virtually like we're doing now. So one of the few benefits of the pandemic, I think, is finding out that we can do a lot of this virtually, but we can also meet in person because there's something nice about seeing each other face to face again now that we can.
There are several things that you've mentioned here this morning that stood out to me. First and foremost is we have to help support our students to Maslow before they can bloom. We've heard a lot about that over the last several years. We know that there is a significant need in our communities. And the second thing is it's really hard to have a conversation about where we're going if we don't know where we're at. So there are tremendous things happening in our school communities. So taking a time out to really vocalize what those things are and where some of our needs might be is a great place to start as we look to transition and set our eyes to the future instead of hopefully not having to continue to tread water as we have had the past several years. So thank you for all of the work that you are doing in our Area 2 and more specifically in our Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. We certainly appreciate all of the support and knowledge that you bring to the role and to the work. And we're so happy that you're working with Katie as well. It's a great team to be able to provide these vital and important services to our school communities as they look at their systems and how they can be more trauma informed and trauma responsive. So also, thank you for your time here today.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Absolutely. That wraps us up here on Facebook for another edition of Teacher Talk. We hope that you've learned a lot from Kelli in sharing her message about the TRSIA and the services that are available to our area schools and districts. We also are incredibly hopeful that you have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, an even better Friday, a colorful fall-filled weekend, and we will see you right back here next Thursday for another edition of Teacher Talk.